But God wants you to prosper. Not somebody else, not someone down the street, but He wants you to prosper. He promises to be our exceeding great reward. God has a great plan for you. 3 John, verse 2. It says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers." Well, welcome. Let's listen in on an education empowerment call I recently did with Dr. Anthony Stoman.
And I say to all of you, you can win. Starts with a decision, but everything starts with headquarters. Nothing changes until your mind changes. That's with your health and with your finances. It doesn't matter where you're at right now. It all starts with headquarters. So I'm going to take a break right now. I am so excited to introduce my new friend we had such a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I said, yeah, we have to have this young lady on the call because we like to bring the best of the best. And I want to make sure she's on the side of the call with me first. And that is Chonta Haynes. Are you out there, my friend?
I am here.
Okay, we got the lady of the hour, everybody. Get your paper and pen ready to go because it's all about education. I just thoroughly enjoyed talking to her. And God always does this. He connects me with the right people. And Chonta, I'm going to give you a designation right now. You are OQP. And let me tell you what that stands for. Only quality people. That's who you are, okay? Now, let me give a official introduction. Chonta Haynes. She's a professor, CEO, entrepreneur. We like that on this call. She's an author, a speaker, and I love this. Biblical money management expert. Let me say that one more time. Biblical money management expert. And her passion is helping people to truly live the abundant life. Not to quote it all your life. Not to think about it and imagine it all your life. But Chonta Haynes wants you actually to live in that place. And I want to introduce you all to her and let her, whatever God puts in your heart, Chonta, and then we'll open up the line after you finish sharing for Q&A. And let me thank you in advance for being with us tonight, Chonta. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you. I want to start off by just telling you that 73% of Americans die in poverty. And 50% have identified that they are born-again believers. That means that at least 23% of believers are dying in poverty, at minimum. I really don't want that to be you or anybody on this call or anybody's family member. Wow. Because honestly, when we think about it, most people will say that in their life, if they looked in the mirror in their adult life, that they will probably say they're not where they want to be financially. Or they might have even thought a good paying job and a whole lot of prayer was all that they needed, but then the corona cooties kind of hit and everybody went, hey, magnified my financial problems. Well, guess what? You're not alone. Many of Americans, especially those that look like us, in this current crisis are wondering whether or not their savings are going to be able to hold out because we've been in this for a lot longer than we thought. If they have a savings account. Many also look at their emergency fund, if they have an emergency fund, and wonder whether or not they're going to be able to continue to pay their bills. That's where we are. That's the state that money management or poor money management truly is in at this time. Well, as Dr. Stoman said, and I really love talking with him, and I know we're both passionate about changing this economic footprint. I'm Dr. Chonta Haynes, and I believe what the Bible says that in John 10:10 that Jesus died for us to live an abundant life. That's not when we get to heaven, that's eternal life. But he said an abundant life while we're here on this earth. It's not for somebody else. It's not for somebody down the street. It's not for your neighbor, but for you to live that abundant life. And what I believe is that all we need is the tools in order to get there. So what I do is I bring you transformative, biblically based truths because I know the word works. You just have to work the word, or as we say, put feet to your face. So, as we kind of mentioned before, who am I to talk to you? Because I tell people honestly, you don't want to learn anything about money from somebody that's broke. They can't tell you anything. But we've been getting bad advice from those who really didn't know what they were doing. So who am I? Now I'm a 4-time author. I can tell you that I've been teaching biblical finance for the past 15 years. I give people the theology and the theory portion, but I recognize that they were not practically applying it. I can tell you that I've been counseling on the financial side for 15 years as well, typically premarital counseling before those who got married, to make sure that they were set up right. But bottom line is this. My original degree is in electrical engineering from Georgia Institute of Technology. So I go back to that Atlanta root. And what I do is I marry the systematic approach because the engineer in me says that I am a problem solver. I marry that systematic approach with the theological approach because I do have a PhD in theology. In so doing, I help believers live that abundant life because the two come together. That's the difference in what I bring, and that's why I say I'm a biblical money management expert. Now, where did I come from? Was I born with a silver spoon in my mouth? Absolutely not. I don't think too many people are. Both my parents were teachers back in the early 60s. And most of you are probably saying, yes, teachers weren't paid a lot back then, and they're not paid a lot today. So ultimately, we struggle. But I understood that it's not what you make, it's what you keep that's important. So when we look at that, I also look at the current systems of the world, and the systems of the world have been changing rapidly. The Bible tells us that we're not supposed to be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our mind. Our minds have to change because the systems keep disrupting what we are doing and how we're doing it because they want to keep everything for themselves. But if we're not aware of those systems, we will then end up struggling and we will end up stressing. And that's where many of us are. So let me just give you a quick one tip up front. I'm not sure if this applies to you, but you can help somebody else if it doesn't. And that is number one, check your bank account or your bank statement for any fee. Typically now, banks have started within the last few years charging minimal fees, as they call it, typically $10 a month for you to have a bank account. I tell my clients, don't pay anybody to hold your money because that $10 a month might sound nominal. However, that's $120 a year. And I know there's a bill that you can pay with that $120. That's worth the price of admission for many people. And a lot of times we're not paying attention to it. It doesn't have to be in your checking account. It can also be a fee in your savings account. So if that's what's going on, what the banks are doing is they are charging you to hold your money, and then they're turning around and loaning your money to somebody else and making money off of your money. And that's not the game that we want to play. I really want to jump into biblical financial personalities because that's what I'm on here for. That's the difference that I make. But I know that I'm not going to be able to 100% go through all of that. And so let me just tell you up front, you can go to my website. I am the CEO and founder of Heart Truth Ministries. And my goal is to help you live this abundant life and bring all of these tools to you. And that website is H2Truth, TRUTH.org. I'll mention it again at the end, but just in case I don't, and you want to go ahead and write that down, I want to make sure I give you as much of what I bring to the table. One of the things that I recognize is that God has created each and every one of us uniquely. And our relationship with money and how we handle money determines whether or not we're going to be good money managers or not. And some of us struggle because we don't recognize that we have these different personalities. And I know you've probably seen some financial personalities out there. Many people have put something together, but I do believe that God has given me the ability to look at systems and break them down in the least common denominator, the smallest and simplest methods possible in order to help us move forward. And that's from that engineering side of my brain. And one of the things that he has given me is what I call the biblical financial personality. There are actually 4 personalities. Many of us, and probably all of us, have a piece of every single one of them, but we do have a dominant personality. And what I want to do today, and all I'm going to be able to do is give you a high-level overview of it, And again, it is on my website as well to give you that overview, and there's going to be more detail to follow and studies and things of that sort that are out there. But these 4 personalities, I'm going to give you the top 4 immediately. They are following, because of my engineering background, you'll see the science that comes into this. But they are steam, water, ice, and fire. And all of those are acronyms. So I'm going to try to give you at least one takeaway from those that I get an opportunity to bring to your forefront so that you'll understand what it is and give you the takeaway of what you can do differently in order to remove the struggle from money management. So let me just start with STEAM. Most people end up being in the STEAM category. STEAM stands for spend thinking emotionally about memory. Again, STEAM stands for spend thinking emotionally about memory. This is that person that is a great giver. You love giving gifts. At the end of the month, you're always giving to somebody else. You're always other-centered. But you're doing that in many instances because you like the relationship. And relationship is what's driving your spending and what you're doing with your finances. And that's great. There's some positives to that. Our God is a generous God. He teaches us to want to be compassionate and love and to show that and demonstrate that love by our giving. We know we reap what we sow. And so all of that is wonderful. It's beautiful. But what can sometimes happen is you overgive. Sometimes on the negative side, you end up being a people pleaser. And because of that, you constantly give more sometimes than what you have coming in. And of course, when we look at budgeting, it's just a system of saying what's coming in and what's going out. And we never want to give out more than what's coming in, or we're going to deplete what we have, anything we have in savings, and we're always going to be at a deficit. Now, when I say I do these as biblical financial personalities, I also have a biblical base that goes along with that particular personality. So for STEAM, you would look at the Good Samaritan from Luke's Gospel, the 10th chapter. And if you kind of remember, the Good Samaritan was the one that made sure he saw this guy. He was along the street. He was destitute. The robbers had come. And instead of passing on the other side like those who were supposed leaders, he decided he was going to stop. He was going to tend to that individual. He put him on his own donkey. He took him to the inn. He bandaged him up. He did everything that he could do for that young man. And then he says, you know what, innkeeper, I'd like for you to go ahead and take care of him. I've got business I need to take care of. When I come back, I will take care of whatever amount are left over, whatever receipts are there, because he was concerned about that individual. You see how that theme, I'm spending because I'm thinking emotionally? Yes. He was thinking emotionally for that particular individual. Now, that's a good thing. But what I say is the one tip that you could take away from this, because there's a lot that goes into that. Notice the Good Samaritan was on his way somewhere. He had something he needed to do. And so he doesn't abandon everything that he was supposed to do, his business, to take care of somebody else. Instead, he took care of what he could. He asked somebody, the innkeeper, to then make sure he took care of the rest. But he went and did his business and then came back. So the STEAM personality, what you would need to do is balance emotion with logic. So you can't just only be emotional, but you have to look at the logical side or put boundaries on what you're doing. So the one thing that you'll need to do with your budget, if you are the STEAM personality primarily, is to select that dollar amount per month that you're going to give. Yours is probably going to be larger than somebody else with one of the other personalities. Say, for instance, you pick $100 a month that you're going to be giving because you like to sew. That's great. When you get to that $100, you stop because you put the boundaries in place to say, logically, this is all that I can afford to give out this month. Yes, it might be you might want to help somebody else out with a bill. Family member could come to you and say, hey, I'm having some struggles here. Well, if it's not within your budget for this month, I'm going to need to help you next month because that $100 has already been spent. And no matter how you do your budget, whether you do an Excel spreadsheet, whether you use an app, whether you use the envelope method, whatever it is, you put that boundary in place. And then that way you're not struggling because you've already predetermined, because you've balanced your budget, that you know what you can afford to give. And I hope that makes sense. And I know everybody's on mute, but that gives you an idea of what these biblical financial personalities look like. Let me give you a second one, and that would be the water personality. Both of these are on my spending side, if you would. The water personality stands for why attend to every report. This is the person that doesn't want to look at anything. They don't want to do a spreadsheet. They figure if they can swipe their debit card and it goes through, hey, hallelujah, it's great, it's wonderful, and I'm good to go. They're not keeping records. They're not keeping an account. If they were writing checks, as long as there's checks in the checkbook, then they'll write the check. They've never balanced the book. And so they end up with all of these extraneous fees, those overdraft fees and that keep coming, and the late fees because they don't know when their bills are due and they're not paying attention. This goes along with the prodigal son. If you remember, as long as he had funds, he had friends. When he was spending out, everybody was excited about it. But when he no longer had any money, all of a sudden the friends dried up, and then he had to turn around and go back to his father's house. Well, the one takeaway for that particular personality would be to do a budget. You've got to do a budget. I don't care what it is, app, envelope method, spreadsheet. You've got to put things down on paper so you know what's coming in and what's going out. I also say you need an accountability partner. You need someone who is going to make sure that they identify and they help you along the way to say, nope, you said you only had $100. That's all you're going to spend on that particular bill. All right, and I'm going to go a little quicker through the rest of these because I want to make sure that I give them to you. But again, it's on my website, H2Truth.org. You can freely watch it. I have an entire video on it with actually a download to go along with this quick overview, just so you'll have a complete picture. ICE is that third personality. I'm moving over now to my savers. I stands for I can't entertain. This is the person that is very detail-oriented. Now, they're the opposite of the water. They have their budget to the penny, and they're not going to go over it at all. And because of that, it's like the mosquito. You know, I'm going to suck blood from a turnip if I can, whatever I can do. But they're not really enjoying life because you have this scarcity mentality. I've got to make sure that everything is right. And nope, I can't loan you anything. I can't veer from it at all. Well, one of the things that I recognize is that typically we work, or as others are working, is I owe, so off to work I go. And we live paycheck to paycheck. So we're utilizing or getting funds in based on an hourly basis. And we really need to, that's a whole other subject for a whole other day. We need to break that tradition. But what happens is if you're working so hard for so long and you're not reaping any benefits from it because everything is categorized and budgeted and you don't have any space in there, you will start then being resentful. So what I tell this particular personality is, I love Joyce Myers when she says, eat the cookie and buy the shoes. Yes, you need to at least have a item that you're going to celebrate with, some small item, add it to your budget so that you're enjoying something. I don't care if it's a $5 smoothie on Friday or if it's a $6 movie that you get to go to once a month. Do something that you're going to enjoy so that you're not resentful of everybody else. Now, the place that everybody wants to be is the fire personality. That's financially independent, retiring early. This one, you can look at Joseph's life, you can look at Solomon, you can look at the Proverbs 31 woman. And this is a person that has not only saved for their retirement, is fully funded, they've got everything that they need, everything is in order, they're automatic savers, you know, and you want to be in this position that if Corona hit, I don't have to worry, I'm not stressing, I'm not up at night, I'm not trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my bills. I'm not robbing Peter to pay Paul because everything was taken care of, and I looked at everything. But the one thing that I would caution you or ask you to take as a takeaway from this, even if this is you, is to reevaluate the securities that you do have, making sure that everything is in place, determining that dollar amount that you are going to need for retirement. Now, statistics say that most Americans don't even have $100 in a savings account. Well, you can't be in fire if you don't have any savings. And just because you get to a specific age, whether it be 62 or 65, doesn't mean that you can retire, because the Bible says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, a good man or a woman in our cases, that we want to leave a legacy. We don't want our children to start off where we did if we didn't have anything. We want them to be able to move forward and to do better than we have ever done. So you need to know what that dollar amount is going to be. And it's a very simple calculation. Figure out how much you're spending annually, and then multiply that by the number of years you're going to need in retirement. If you're retiring at the age of 60, statistics now say for women, we're not dying until the age of 90. That's 30 years that you're going to need your retirement funds to then be able to, so that you won't outlive them. So with that in mind, if you had $10,000 and you needed it for 30 years, you know how much money you're going to need in your retirement. But here's the other thing that I like to tell my clients. You don't want to spend all of that money. The goal should be to only spend the interest and not the principal. That way you can leave the inheritance for those that are coming behind. So that's the quick, and I know I ran through that very, very fast, and you might have some questions on that. But again, I am grateful to God for everything that He's given me and how He has blessed me over the years. And I said in 2020, I set a goal that I wanted to help change 2020 lives, change the trajectory of the financial situation. And you probably asking, well, why do you have a heart to do this? Why are you passionate about that? Well, I have a younger brother. He's 2 years behind me. And what I recognized, I told you that my parents struggled because both of them were teachers as I was growing up. I looked at the fact that college tuition goes up every single year. And with my brother coming behind me, if we were both in school at the same time, then that was going to be a bigger struggle. So what I did was I graduated from Georgia Tech in 3 years. Because if it was going up and I could remove one of those years, that means I effectively saved that money. Because I didn't want my parents to struggle. And you're probably also wondering, well, have you seen some results in what you've done with people? You bet. One of my clients, she said she was mad happy once we finished our strategy session. She came in thinking, I'm supposed to always be in debt. I will never get out of debt. And that's a mentality that some have. But that's not the case. What she wanted was to not be broke, a broke retired person. She wanted to be able to be free and understand. She was truly that water personality. When we left, she had a legal bill. We know that it's going to be paid off within 6 years. She'll be completely financially debt-free. Her condo is going to be paid for. The legal decision is going to be taken care of. Her student loans are going to all be gone. She will actually be free and be able to leave it to her family. What I want is for us to be beacons of light. Matthew 5 tells us that we're supposed to be light in this dark world. And if we shine our light, others will not only be attracted to us, but they'll also be attracted to the God that we serve. So if you're not where you want to be, then what I provide is tools and techniques so that not only will you be free, but you'll be able to teach your children and your children's children and create a family legacy that's going to be completely different from whatever you currently have been given. Because when we know to do better, we do better. And so that's what I bring. I told you I bring transformative, biblically based truth. Yes, we got to get to the mindset. Yes, we got to go through all of this other stuff. And I've got tools out there. I've got books out there. I've got online courses available. So my goal, my passion, is to help empower you and educate you so that you'll be able to do the same for somebody else. What I like to say is this call yes, it's for you to get the information, to figure out something that's new, that's out there, to get the education that you need. But I also want you to reach somebody else. If each one of us reaches another, whether it be our children, whether it be our friends, whether it be a group, whether it be a church, whatever it is, we will then make a significant difference. And that's what I like to do. So working with your unique personality, accentuating the positives, eliminating the negatives, automating, eliminating, all of those things come into play. Getting that accountability partner, teaching somebody else, that's what I like to bring to the table. And so I am thrilled that Dr. Stoman has this dream team, and I'm thrilled to be able to be a part of offering some other information from a different vantage point to be able to help. And so I want to definitely give the opportunity to have some questions, if there are any that are out there regarding what I said. And I know I could go for days on this because it truly is a passion. But I want to open the floor up, if you would, Dr. Stoman, to see if we've got any questions, see if I can help or answer anything at this time.
Wow. Well, let me just say this. You knocked it out of the park, Dr. Haynes. You knocked it out of the park. I knew you would. I'm not surprised. I'm taking notes and my hand is moving. So I love it. I love it. Everything you said, I ditto everything that you said. I love those personalities because that's a really big deal. That is a big, big, big deal. Oh, my goodness. So, guys, I know you guys thoroughly enjoyed Dr. Haynes tonight. I know you did. Don't worry. I got to record it. I'll make sure I share it with all of you. Before I open up the call, I want everybody to get ready to ask Dr. Haynes any questions that you might have. Comments are definitely welcome because I know you guys learned a lot tonight. In one little session, you learn so much that can transform your life if you execute. Because what I always say is that faith comes by hearing, but results come by doing. That's the dividing line that will determine where you're going to be for the rest of this year and the rest of your life. It's all the choice. And she laid it out for you. She gave you the instructions and everything. So go to her website, access her tools. I encourage you to do that, guys, because we need all hands on deck. This job is so big, as she can tell you, it is so humongous that we need all hands on deck, okay? And because we're so far behind, but guess what? We're going to look ahead, and like she said, we're going to go ahead and each one reach one. And we do everything with love, guys. You got to, that's the most important thing. You want to lead with love because people are in different economic situations. We don't down anybody. But guess what? I don't care where you're at. I don't care where you're at. You can have a comeback in your finances starting tonight. You can have a comeback in your finances starting tonight based on what Dr. Haynes shared with you tonight. Okay? So the disease that we got to fight, and I tell you this from time to time, this is a disease called procrastination. And procrastination is the assassination of your health and financial destination. You heard some valuable information tonight. Don't take it for granted, folks. Do not take what she shared for granted. And I need you to share with everybody that you love and care about. Guys, again, we're here to help you destroy debt and destroy bad health. And we need education. And the number one thing, the number one financial book in the world is the Bible, and the number one health book in the world is the Bible. Okay? So with that being said, let's open up this line. If you have any questions or comments, you will have the opportunity.
I have a question. Could I get you, please? I very much enjoyed everything that you taught us tonight, and I appreciate your time. Could you repeat your website, please?
It's 8, the number 2, 8, Truth, TRUTH.org. The company is Heart, the number 2, Heart Truth.org. So that's how you see the 828.org.
Thank you.
Dr. Haynes, this is Ben. How are you? I'm very well. Thank you so much for sharing today. We really appreciate it, that information. And I'm so psyched to be able to follow up with you and connect and help you stand on your mission because it definitely is in line with what we're doing with different parts of the crusade. So I'm really excited about that. And thanks for sharing. Oh, no problem.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Anybody else? In the comments. Yes.
Hey.
Sloan here. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Wonderful. Wonderful.
I just want to let you know I'm welcoming you aboard our dream team. You are great access to us. And I thank God for you with all that knowledge, you know. Woo-hoo! Thank you.
I love it. I love it. You can probably tell, I'm here in my office and I'm like, I normally, when I'm teaching class, I'm up, I'm moving. I put down, I think one of my students said I have a firecracker personality. It's hard to contain me, so I'm thankful for that excitement that you have as well.
I love it. Any other questions? Thank you.
I got a question. Under this pandemic, we have discovered that 50% of all small businesses in this country are in sole process. My question is, the information you share on the techniques and the tools, does it matter, is it applicable to the majority of the businesses in this country?
Let me just offer this. On my website, if you go to in the store area, there is a financial wisdom mini booklet. And inside of it, it also has not only the budget for personal, but it has an ability to do the cash flow for businesses as well. Now, it'll show that it's a nominal fee to download that, but if you use the code GIFT, capital GIFT, all caps, if you use that, then it's a free download. So that's my gift back for today as well. Definitely do that. But when you look at your personality, in many instances, the sole proprietor will take those same feelings of how they do business and do the same thing. How they handle their personal business, they do the same with their business. So, for instance, I'm a giver, and I know I'm a giver. And in many instances on my business, you might not see a whole lot of revenue coming in unless I pay attention to not give away the store. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if I'm spending because I know this person and I want to help this person and I have a heart to help, then you have to then end up having an accountability person, somebody in the office, virtual assistant that takes the money. Otherwise, you will never charge.
Exactly.
So when you know your personality, you have to put that boundary in place to say, okay, I'm only giving away X number of dollars this month. Now, I happen to have also a foundation, Heart to Heart Foundation, which is a 501c3. So I can give away. Recently I just did devotional planner that's available. This came out July 1. And when I did that, I did a free giveaway on July 1st as well as July 2nd. And those downloads represent families, and that is part of my give back. So, it has certain time limit of when it was going to be. I can't always give it away free, but I know that I can track that this is what I've done, and these are the people that I have been able to reach. So that's what you have to that business side.
That's great. That was good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. I know y'all want to keep Doc on the line all night, but she got to go. She got her website. Well, she has to go. I have to go. I don't know which one, but anyway, we're going to go ahead. She has to go on the time tonight.
The website one more time. The phone was breaking up. I had a hard time getting the whole thing.
Okay, it's H for heart, the number 2, H, Truth, TRUTH.org.
Thank you so much.
So my name for you, just in case you want to just Google me, is Chonta, Chonta. Last name is Haynes, Haynes. And so if you Google that, you'll probably see me or some semblance and find me.
Beautiful.
What's the download again?
It's under the Financial Wisdom Mini Booklet. And the code that you want to use for that is GIFT, GIFT, all caps.
Thank you so much.
You can also find on there the Biblical Financial Personalities that should come up, and that's a free download as well. It actually will have the PowerPoint presentation. I talk a little bit slower to try to get you more information. Just at high level, I'll give you the different scriptural references, the one takeaway, the acronym, and I think I also give you an animal to associate with those personalities as well.
Wow. All right. What a wonderful time we had tonight. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and end the call. But, my God, what a blessing. What a super blessing. Thank you so much, Dr. Haynes, for blessing our listening audience from across the nation. We really appreciate it. May God continue to bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. And, you know, we're going to be connecting and doing some things on some webinars and all that good stuff. So, okay. I'd like to say to all you wonderful people, don't worry about it. I got the recording if you want it. Live long, live strong in your health and your finances, and empower yourself. Okay? God bless everybody. Have a wonderful night. Thanks again, Dr. Haynes, for blessing us tonight. Everybody have a wonderful night.
Thank you again. Thank you. All right. Woo-hoo. Thank you.
Heart Truth Ministries. You can find us online at htruth.org. At Heart Truth Ministries, we're helping believers live an abundant life based on God's Word, standing on His promises, walking out His principles, sharing with God's people, serving as unto the Lord.